Hey, my lovely, lovely, wonderful people. A pleasant afternoon to you. So, lovely people, you know, I just have to laugh. I mean, I just admire this man so much. You know, Shaggy. I don't even remember him real name, but something other Borrell, I think. Yeah. Recently, he had done a performance with that lovely singer there, and his father was a part of this very, very funny and hilarious sitcom. I don't remember the name of it. Oh my god, why the guy name just eluded me a while ago. Anyway, that recent performance that he did, really nice. I liked it. So Shaggy had on this, it's a male shirt, but because it's the sheer material, sort of like maybe it's not necessarily floral, but it was busy, you know, but it's sheer material. You know how those styly male shirts are nowadays and all of that. And when I initially had seen it, I said, boy, Shaggy just find back image paper. I mean, I was saying in my mind, I said, yeah, man, Shaggy, I try to get back young again, man. I wasn't thinking anything sexual at all. You know, to say he's trying to feminize his stylistic way of dressing or anything like that didn't even come across my mind. You know, because I try not to have my mind tainted. We already have a lot of issues dealing with. And when you constantly think about a particular thing, you have to check yourself to see if, you know, you're leaning that way or whatever it is. Not to say that you must see any and everything and accept anything into the culture. But we need to realize that fashion has changed. You know, I will tell you though, notwithstanding, I will tell you that there are some male fashion that when I see them, I say, boy, it's a little bit too feminine, you know, I kind of don't like it. But I mean, I won't necessarily voice that, you know, publicly or openly, because you don't want to, one, it's if people like it, I don't want to feel like I'm trying to jeopardize anybody's business or whatever it is. If somebody asks me, do you like that? I'll tell them the truth. I'll say, well, maybe it's not my thing. You know what I mean? I don't need to create a vitriol around it. I don't need to demonize it. Unless it's something that maybe it's deliberately disrespecting people, or even worse yet, deliberately trying to disregard God. But outside of those parameters, you know, it's not everything, not every truth needs to be spoken. You know, the Bible says, he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life. So Shaggy, you know, did his performance with that good singer there, man. As I said, his father used to be, his late father was a part of this very popular sitcom. You know, I don't know why I don't remember his name just now. And he had on the pink shirt, and it's not, I hear people calling it, you know, there was some vlogs going around and talking about how it's a blouse and it's a female. That did not look like a female blouse to me. I personally wouldn't wear it. It had a sort of masculine look about it. You know, one of those blouses that they probably consider unisex. It had a masculine look. The thing just did look broad. It didn't have a soft thing that women would go for sheer. There has to be an extreme soft feminine output that we look for. We know what we're talking about. That had a sort of a masculine feel. Even how the sleeves were cut and set. You wouldn't do that for a female blouse, according to you. And that was a total disrespect to this heterosexual dance hall artist, married with his wonderful wife and children, and so on, and what he has promulgated over the many, many years, you know. And he just, and as I said, when I initially saw it, I thought it was, I was saying, boy, Shaggy, I try to get back young again in a nice, amicable, light moment way. You know, not a thing to put down anybody and so on, because once we're living, we're all getting older. And we want to kind of maintain a little youthfulness and look young. So you know what Shaggy did? I'm sure that he has heard the bickering and the chatter. So he posted a video on his Instagram page. And he had on another sheer, what some of you would call blouse. And a sheer one, a sort of peach one, plain this time, with a little flower thing as a brooch thingy on it. And then he had his dog, you know, one of those bullies or pit bulls, I'm not sure, had on the a shirt similar to the one that he had in the performance. And so, like his caption would say, even dog knows style. I said, this man is a genius. The man just took the negative chatter and made it into something big. And he's back again. You know, his name is just ripe and right again in the in the industry, on the scene. And I mean, I just looked at the comments and a lot of them laughed because they understood the assignment. They knew what was going on. You know, I read something just recently. I'm looking now in the book of Thessalonians. And I think it's the first book of Thessalonians. If it's not that one, it's the book before that. I think it's Colossians. Anyway, in the New Testament. And it says, the Bible, I literally didn't know it was really and truly scriptural. I can't remember reading it before. It says, mind your business. It does say that. Do your work, go to work and mind your business. It is a scriptural thing. A lot of things that we're taking on our brain, we're too much involved in people's business. And also I read, where God was speaking and saying, look here, I think he was really directing it from Christian to Christian, but I think it's a general principle. You see, when you do bad to people and treat people bad, it says God will punish you. God will punish you. I remember a guy came on somebody's live and really created wreak havoc and talking about Shaggy's a fish, him know that for sure. And this and that, even tried to call up the man of God's name, Denzel, in his mix-up and filthy mind. I had to come off quick. I was mad. No, well, I had to say, leave the man name out of your mouth in such a horrible manner. I was commenting on the live. I said, how dare you? Do you know any of these men personally to be accusing them? If you don't like the shirt, fine. And you can speak on that. But to talk about people's sexuality and bring them down, that is why sometimes you wonder why your lives are cursed, because of the things that you say about people, and you know that you're coming from a non-factual, non-truthful place. And it has not affected. I'm glad that Shaggy, he reminds me of me. He's not moved by peer pressure. Sometimes I see some people make some very vitriolic and negative comments. Sometimes I may get a little petty and give back a petty response that kind of probably will squeeze the balls. But I say, you know what, Toni-Ann, I don't want to go down that road. So I just block them. And it feels good. So that is just my go-to. I just block you. And so once you make and you could have make a 50 million pages till you just get blocked one by one by one. It's enthralling and it is thrilling. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to control our space. You're not going to control what we do, what we say, and how we should feel. One of the things that people don't understand is that God has given us a volition. And you are trying to take that and you are nowhere near God in the least. And so when I saw that, I said, Shaggy, you're a brilliant man. That was just so brilliant of him. I love his clap back. Yeah, man, just put on back another shirt similar, maybe from the same designer, and put one on his dog. I said, even the dog knows style, because that was clearly a style that he had on. As I said, when I initially saw it, I thought Shaggy was just, and as Jamaicans would I say, just find a H paper. You're trying to look young again and, just get back that vibe and get back that vim, vigor, vitality, and nothing is wrong with that. You know what I mean? Most people who you say live to be 100 and something, they have to be youthful in their thinking and in how they behave. You know what I mean? And they have to not care what your opinions do not count. Once they're not doing something deliberately that is either illegal, unethical, or trying to hurt people, your opinion does not matter. I am so happy that Shaggy did not give in to the foolish cries, the foolish talks, and the peer pressure, because what they're trying to do is bully the man into not doing this or to doing what he doesn't, into just doing what they want him to do. No, he's an individual. He has his own mind and he has his choices, and he's free to make his choices. Whether you want to think he's this, that, or the third. I tell you, his clapback was it was epic. It was literally awe-inspiring. So people, mind your business and go and work. The Bible said it. Go and work. Because if you were working, you wouldn't have any time to go and criticize or find some fault with a man's shirt. It's not a blouse. You're too disrespectful. Well, anyway, guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of those lines. And you can follow me on Instagram.